is going through something of a renaissance currently. Throughout the 2000s, a number of high-value individuals paid to visit the International Space Station, ISS. But these flights, organized under the patronage of the Russian Space Agency, ceased in 2009. Now, the sector is being rekindled, and this time it looks more resilient, simply because there are many more private space companies chasing the business, and this should bring down the prices for a wider pool of customers. As well as the new Shepard trips organized by Jeff Bezos, the British entrepreneur Sir Richard Branson is offering rides in his Virgin Galactic rocket plane. And then, of course, there's Elon Musk, whose Dragon capsule will send people orbiting to circle the Earth for several days, as it did previously for the privately funded Inspiration 4 crew last month. While Mr. Bezos simply invites some people to fly on New Shepard, he is selling other seats. And whereas Sir Richard Branson puts a ticket price from $450,000 or 330,000 euros against the journey, the Amazon founder does not disclose the fees paid by the likes of Mr. Boschweizen and Mr. De Vries. Blue Origin is planning one more crewed flight this year, with several more crewed flights planned for 2022. In addition to the trips to the edge of space, people with deep pockets may soon be able to pay for orbital experiences and longer stays in microgravity. Last year, SpaceX, the spaceflight company founded by billionaire Elon Musk, launched 4 private passengers into orbit around Earth on a 3-day expedition. The flight made history as the first orbital launch with an all-civilian crew. SpaceX is also preparing to launch 3 private passengers who each paid $55 million to the International Space Station early next year. It's an intergalactic rivalry, and the stakes just got higher. For years, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have sparred over the performance of their rockets and space companies in a simmering feud that flared during a flight over who could use a NASA launch pad and which company was the first to successfully land a rocket. But now, the 2 billionaires, among the world's richest men, are waging an increasingly bitter battle that pits 2 enormous business empires in clashes that are playing out in the courts, the Federal Communications Commission, and the halls of Congress in what's become one of the greatest business rivalries in a generation. What began as a fight between Musk's SpaceX and Bezos' Blue Origin space company over a major NASA contract to land astronauts on the moon now also encompasses a race to build an internet satellite service in space. That fight has become especially bare-knuckled and personal. For the past couple of years, SpaceX has been launching a constellation of satellites that could reach well into the thousands, intended to beam internet signals to Earth. Amazon has a similar plan with a program it calls Kuiper, which has yet to launch a satellite. On August 25th, Amazon challenged a SpaceX application to the FCC to modify its plan, saying the modification would violate the FCC's rules. 6 days later, SpaceX responded. It didn't mince words. Openly dismissive of Amazon's technical ability, SpaceX accused the company of trying to delay SpaceX's efforts to make up for its own failures. Amazon's track record, SpaceX said, amply demonstrates that as it falls behind competitors, it is more than willing to use regulatory and legal processes to create obstacles designed to delay those competitors from leaving Amazon even further behind. Amazon fired back, accusing Musk of openly defying lawful regulations time and again. The conduct of SpaceX and other Musk-led companies makes their view plain. Rules are for the other people, and those who insist upon or even simply request compliance are deserving of derision and ad hominem attacks, Amazon said in its filing with the agency. SpaceX filed anew. Another week, another objection from Amazon against a competitor, yet still no sign of progress on Amazon's own long-rumored satellite system, its letter to the FCC began. For decades, American enterprise has been built on fierce competition between titans of industry, from the days of Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller more than a century ago. Now Musk and Bezos are writing a new chapter focused on space, a sector romanticized by popular culture and nostalgia for the 1960s Apollo era, but that has emerged in recent years as one of the most exciting industries with the potential for enormous growth. Both Bezos and Musk portray their space ambitions as a way to help humanity by creating a city on Mars, as Musk would like, or building colonies in Earth's orbit, as Bezos envisions. But space is also a huge business opportunity, said Margaret O'Mara, a professor at the University of Washington and author of The Code, Silicon Valley and the Remaking of America, a history of the technology era. "They're not public servants, they're business people," she said. "Space is a passion for both of these billionaires, but it's also a growing industry, and there is a lot of money to be made in it." The companies are well aware that their rivalry is playing out in real time over social media, in an era when Silicon Valley executives are often watched as closely as Hollywood actors. They are competing against a backdrop that has given rise to the celebrity-driven business leader, O'Mara said, and Musk in particular has been adept at creating a very loyal fan base with a Twitter following of nearly 60 million and an appearance this year on Saturday Night Live. "It's a reflection of the moment we're in with this incredible power that rests with this handful of extraordinarily rich people," she said. For all their differences, Musk and Bezos have charted similar paths in building their empires. Both possess a preternatural ability to upend entire industries with innovative new products, and an ability to see deep into the future and the fortitude to stay true to their beliefs, defying doubters and shrugging off short-term losses for long-term gains. At PayPal, Musk helped disrupt the credit card industry and transform how American consumers pay for goods and services. At Tesla, he has taken on the entire automobile industry and revolutionized the electric car market. SpaceX fought the military-industrial complex that for decades had dominated space and has become NASA's preferred launch partner. With Amazon, Bezos first upended traditional bookstores, then all of retail as he turned the company into a behemoth everything store. And Amazon Web Services changed the way companies store their data. Now, in the second act of their illustrious careers, Musk and Bezos, who stepped down as Amazon CEO in July but remains as executive chairman, are bound together over a series of ventures that could define their legacies. For now, Musk is well ahead in virtually every area. SpaceX has dispatched 3 teams of astronauts to the International Space Station, and on Tuesday is scheduled to launch a crew of civilian astronauts on a 3-day trip orbiting Earth. Blue Origin has launched a single suborbital mission to space that lasted just over 10 minutes. SpaceX already has launched nearly 2,000 Starlink satellites to orbit, bringing the company close to pulling off Musk's riskiest and most daring venture, providing internet service from space. Recently, Musk wrote on Twitter that his company has shipped 100,000 ground terminals for the system and is serving 14 countries. Last year, the FCC announced it was awarding SpaceX $886 million to help serve hundreds of thousands of customers in the United States, part of a $9.2 billion effort to increase broadband access. Amazon has its own plan to flood Earth orbit with satellites that would beam the internet to the ground, but it has yet to launch a single satellite. The modifications SpaceX wants to make to its FCC license and that Amazon is now challenging would add some 30,000 satellites in 2 configurations. One would be launched on its next-generation Starship rocket, the other would be flown on its workhorse Falcon 9. Amazon argues that under the FCC regulations, SpaceX must present a single design for its system. It argues that the 2 configurations arrange these satellites along very different orbital parameters. SpaceX's novel approach of applying for 2 mutually exclusive configurations is at odds with both the Commission's rules and public policy. On Twitter, Musk took that a step further, misspelling Bezos' name and writing that it turns out Bezos retired to pursue a full-time job filing lawsuits against SpaceX. In addition to the fight over the satellite constellations, Bezos, through Blue Origin, is also waging war over the contract NASA awarded to SpaceX to build a spacecraft capable of flying astronauts to and from the surface of the moon. Blue Origin appealed NASA's decision to the Government Accountability Office, which rejected Blue Origin's arguments and ruled in NASA's favor. Then, Blue Origin filed suit in the Court of Federal Claims, arguing that NASA erred in its award. It has also sent papers taunting SpaceX to Capitol Hill staffers saying, "What is Elon Musk afraid of? A little competition?" The company is arguing that NASA allowed SpaceX to waive many of its flight readiness review meetings designed to ensure mission success. That means SpaceX's proposal was not in compliance with NASA's solicitation, Megan Mitchell, Blue Origin's vice president of government relations, said in an interview. She added that it also raised a pretty big safety issue, especially because SpaceX would need multiple launches to refuel its rocket in orbit to reach the moon. The suits have also angered SpaceX, which in a memo to Capitol Hill staffers pointed out that Blue Origin has not produced a single rocket or spacecraft capable of reaching orbit. Musk crudely amplified the point on Twitter, writing the company can't get it up to orbit. He also tweeted a photo of a deflated mock-up of Blue Origin's lunar landar that he captioned, "Somehow this wasn't convincing." Musk pointed out that Blue Origin's bid was $6 billion, more than twice what SpaceX had bid. The Blue Origin's bid was just way too high, double that of SpaceX, and SpaceX has much more hardware progress. He added that Bezos should be more involved in Blue Origin. "I think he needs to run BO full-time for it to be successful. Frankly, I hope he does." The fight signifies how companies have taken the place of nations in the battle for space primacy. SpaceX, Amazon, and Blue Origin are reprising the roles of the United States and the Soviet Union at the dawn of the space age. That rivalry drove NASA to put astronauts on the moon. This one could too, once it gets out of court. But it also shows how space has become just like any other business, and the fight to orbit is like any other cold-blooded capitalist slugfest, whether it be Coke and Pepsi, Avis and Hertz, or Microsoft and Apple. It reflects the movement of the space sector from something special to, well, like everything else, said John Logsdon, Professor Emeritus of George Washington University's Space Policy Institute. Where people compete, companies compete. It's like the KFC ad, where Colonel Sanders says McDonald's making a chicken sandwich is none of their business.